I'm Mindy. I'm from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I grew up in a very large family. I was a lot more outgoing than the majority of my siblings. I was just different. I was a little disobedient and stayed in trouble more than my other siblings did. My mother actually passed away the second semester of my sophomore year. And at that point, that's kind of where that void in my heart began, is when I lost her. You know, I had lost my biggest fan, my nurturer, like the only one who really truly knew me. I began the search for anything to kind of fill that void. After high school, I went to college. I partied a little bit through college, experimented with cocaine and, marijuana and stuff like that. It wasn't really until after I had my oldest daughter that my addiction really began. After she was born, I had 3 surgeries back to back, and that led to a 6-year addiction to opiates. It began as like something that felt good, and it ended up turning into something I had to do to feel normal. Once it got really bad, it was just a really sad existence. Like, it was darkness. It was waking up and dreading even having to make it through the day. Like, all I wanted to do was get high. I didn't want to have the responsibility of work or my children. And as a mother, that hurts to say that, but that's what the drugs did to me. So this last time that I got sober, I had thought that I had everybody fooled. Like, I just had been telling everybody I was really busy with work, and that would explain the weight loss and my physical appearance, wearing long sleeves in the middle of summer. My parents found out that I was using again. My ex-husband found out, and he wouldn't let me keep my oldest at my house anymore, so she was gone. So it was just me and Maddie, my 2-year-old. But I remember the day my dad came over and tried to talk me into going to treatment. And I was living in a house where I was paying $1,900 in rent, but I had no running water. So as he comes over to try to talk me into going to treatment, he goes over to the sink to try to wipe something off his pants, and he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and I was like, just take her. So my dad ended up taking Madeline with him that day, and I went to treatment. I went to Freedom House in Shakota. It's a part of Teen Challenge. I left after 5 months. I did not complete the program, but a seed had already been planted when I was there. Lance Lane came to speak at my church, and I remember reading a card that my mom had sent me about a service that they attended, and she mentioned his name. When I came back to the city, my dad had met me to give me my car. I remember him telling me about Hope is Alive, and he was explaining it to me, and he showed me the website, and everyone on there just looked so happy. Like, they were smiling, they were laughing. I looked at him and I was like, so I can work? And he was like, yeah. And I said, I can have my car and I can see the kids. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, sign me up. I didn't have a whole lot of girlfriends, so I was kind of nervous going into this program and living in a home full of, 14, 15 girls. But it ended up being like one of the most amazing things. I was just overwhelmed by the love and the encouragement. It really is like a sisterhood. So many times people would tell me like, hey, I have your back, or, I got you. But these girls proved it, like, day in and day out. You can have fun sober. And we did that all the time, whether it was just, hanging out around the house or cooking out or making dinner together. The one thing that I was really grateful for is Hope is Alive really focuses on process addictions. For me coming in here, I thought in my mind that my process addiction was gambling. But it was around November when I was confronted by our program manager about some things that she had noticed in my actions. So at that point, my process addiction changed. I realized that my whole issue started long before drugs ever came into the picture. I had that void in my heart from my mom passing away. And early on, I used relationships, to fill that void. And ultimately, every time I would get sober, I would relapse over a broken relationship. I'm so grateful for the fact that they saw something in me that I couldn't see myself, and that they encouraged me to work on it, because I think going forward in my life, like, that's what's gonna save me, is that process addiction. And I don't know of any other recovery program like Hope is Alive that does anything like that. Today, I am a soul on fire. Like, I've never been so happy. Today, I'm a mom, a present mom. I'm there for my kids. That guilt and that shame, like, it doesn't affect me anymore, because I'm covered. You know, I'm covered by His grace. I had this void in my heart that nothing could fill, because He wasn't in it. My relationship with God is what has saved me. My dad has also been like a huge inspiration in my spiritual life. He never gave up on me. He never lost faith. And his love and his grace and his forgiveness that he shown me really allowed me to see God and God's heart for me. And it allowed me to understand that if my earthly father can love me like that, and if he can show me that grace and that forgiveness, then how amazing is it that God loves me that much more?